All right, guys, so we're starting our STAAR review. Each day you need to take a picture of your notes and submit them. All the pictures from these notes will be combined to make a quiz grade. This should be the easiest quiz grade because all you're doing is taking the notes each day and submitting the picture each day after you do it. So everybody should get an easy 100 as long as they do what they're supposed to. All right, so today's topic for review is writing equations. First thing I want you to do is identify which of these equations are linear. All right, so make sure you have put the title for today's notes. That way you have it on your paper. Now, which one is linear? Well, this equation is linear. It's specifically in standard form. The second equation here is not linear. It is quadratic because of that exponent there of 2. The one at the bottom, I see an exponent of 2, which tells me it's quadratic again. So not linear. All right, y equals 4, 3 to the x power. That right there is exponential because I have the x exponent. Y equals 4x, yeah, that is one. It's in y equals mx plus b or slope-intercept form. Lastly, this one here at the bottom is also linear. It's in point-slope form. These three different ways to write equations, that is what we're going to be reviewing today. So, first off, if you have a formula chart, take a look at it. What is the slope equation? Okay. When you take your STAAR test, you will have the formula chart. Your formula chart will look like this. So you want to find on your formula chart the linear equations, which is right here. And it has the 3 forms along with slope of the line. So how do we find slope? M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. It's also, remember guys, rise over run if I'm looking at a graph. Now number 2, what is the slope-intercept equation? Slope-intercept we actually just reviewed on the last slide is y equals mx plus b. Again, this can be found on your formula chart. What does the m represent? Represents slope. What does the b represent? The y-intercept. As long as you have those two things, you can write an equation in slope-intercept form. What is the point-slope equation? Well, that is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. And again, you can find that on your formula chart right there. Okay? Now, what does the x1, y1 mean? Well, we know m is slope. It's the same thing from the previous problem. But what does the x1, y1? Well, it is a point on the line. Okay? The x is the x value of the coordinate. Y is the y value of the coordinate. Lastly, what is the standard form? That is the ax plus by equals c. Again, you can see this on your formula chart right here. Okay, let's go back. What does the b mean the same as the b in slope-intercept? No, the b here is not a y-intercept. The b is just the coefficient of y. So no, it's not the same. Remember, out of these 3 forms, everybody, standard is honestly the hardest one to get to. You must have one of the other 2 forms in order to be in standard form. In order to get to standard form, I mean. can't get to standard form by just having a point and a slope. You have to start in one of the other two forms to get to standard form. From point slope form, you can get to either of the two forms. From slope intercept form, you can go to standard form. From standard form, you can go to slope intercept form. But you can't start in standard form from whatever you're given. All right, so from this table, I want you to find the slope using the formula. So my formula is n equals y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Remember when we learned about slope? The main thing was that if you're given a table, you can pick any two coordinates, and it doesn't matter. But the key thing is to label the two coordinates that you pick. So for instance, if I picked -2, 5 and 0, 10, I need to label my x's, x1 and x2, and then my y's, y1 and y2. And notice the same coordinate was the same number. Now I can put this all into my equation. 10 minus 5 over 0 minus -2. You need to put parentheses, just like what we did for quadratic formula most recently. 10 minus 5 is 5. 0 minus -2 is +2 to give me the fraction of 5/2. Guys, honestly, you could, at this point, have just typed this straight into your calculator exactly as is, so you could get that as your final answer. This is the final answer, though. Or if you had to type in the answer to like a griddable on your test, you might have to convert it to a decimal. Now remember, when you're on the calculator, you press menu 2, 1, and it allows you to convert to a decimal of 2.5 if you don't know that decimal off the top of your head. All right, next, writing the equation in slope-intercept form. So I need to write this equation. I must have my slope, which we just said is 5/2, and I must have my y-intercept, which is 0, 10. So y equals mx plus b, y equals 5/2 x plus 10 would be my equation. All right, now let's look at it from a graph point of view. From a graph, I can find the slope two ways. I can actually get the coordinates and find the slope that way, which here, this coordinate would be 0, 1, 2, 3. This coordinate would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1. And then again, label x1, y1, x2, y2, and put it into your formula. M equals y2, which is -1, minus y1 of 3 over x2, which is 5, minus 0, which gives me -4 over 5 as my slope. I could have also found it by doing rise over run, or in this case, fall over run. I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Meaning my slope is -4, because that's my fall, over my run of 5. Now this time they want us to write the equation in point slope form. So I need a point and a slope. Doesn't matter which one that I use for the coordinates, but I have two coordinates I could use. So one answer would be y minus my y1 of 3 equals -4/5 x minus 0, or y plus 1 equals -4/5 x minus 5. Either one of those equations would be correct. All right, now let's get it from 2 points. It's actually just like what we were just doing. Label your 2 coordinates, x1, y1. The key with finding slope is to just label your points and then put it into your formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 equals. Type that into your calculator. See what it gives you. -7 over -7, which the calculator would go straight to giving you +1. Now they want the equation in standard form, which means I need to be in one of the other 2 forms before I can get to standard form. I'm going to start with point slope. I don't have a y-intercept to be in slope-intercept, so I must start with point slope. So I'm going to use the coordinate already labeled x1, y1. Y minus 5 equals m, which is 1, parentheses, x minus my x1, which is 4. Now, in order to convert it to standard form, in the end, I want x on the same side as my y, my constant to be by itself. So I need to distribute this 1 first. So y minus 5 equals x minus 4. Let's get x on the same side as y by subtracting. So -x plus y minus 5 equals -4. Now let's add 5 to both sides. And I get -x plus y equals 1. Now we can't leave a as a negative in standard form, so you must multiply by a negative to flip all the signs to have a final answer of x minus y equals -1. And there's your final answer. All right, go work on your practice. That's it for today.